I feel the most joyous with the sisters when I'm helping them with family camp, which I've been doing, gosh, every year for 50 years. Ever since we went on that first family camp, every summer after that, I would go back to help the sisters, either as a staff assistant, then as a seminarian, and now as a priest for the last 35 years. Where I first find that joy is just by being with them at family camp and seeing how they interact with all the different families. Families who have been going there for years and families who are experiencing it for the first time. And then here at the retreat center, I also get to experience that kind of joy with the sisters. And I just like being here with them as much as I can because they remind me of the kind of joy that I've always wanted to have in my vocation.
Joy to me is that feeling of inner peace deep in my heart, even on a soul level, where all the complications of the world kind of disappear and I'm over here doing my part, doing what God wants me to do, working with all of the amazing sisters and all of the kids and families. I think it really brings a lot of peace into my heart, and that's what I define joy as over here.
Joy is savoring the beauty of a sunflower.
Joy is love.
Joy is working with the sisters.
The biggest impact that the sisters' joy has had on my life is, well, first of all, in inviting me to consider being a priest. They didn't do that out of the blue. There was something about the joy with which they asked it that made me really stop and think that there could be something to this. And I mean, even as a kid in high school, to have them transmit that joy to me, like there's something for me to really look into. That was important to me. To see it in Sister Ida, in the way that she interacted with people, the way she interacted with me. I mean, as a kid, she was interacting with me as a seminarian, and I found that I took a lot of joy in the knowledge that she knew my name and was interested in my life and what I was doing and my vocation. And even to now, you know, experiencing the loss of family members, and the sisters have always been there supporting me. And to have that sense of joy, even in the grief, even when things were really tough for me and the sisters were there supporting me, their sadness with me still had a lot of joy in it, because when it's hard to remember the big picture about life and heaven and everything else, the sisters remember it. And that joy was something that really helped me when times were tough for me.
My first experience dropping my daughters off at the camp, I was just really struck and really felt it deep in my heart, the joy that the sisters had, and they really, the care that they have for the girls. You know, they really just make an effort to make the girls feel welcome to the camp, and in just such a loving and caring way. And because they feel that warmth and that care and that joy that the sisters have, it makes the girls more open to learning about their faith.
At the camp, especially like for the older girls, after campfire, we reflect on the Gospels, and also just the setting really makes you wonder about God. Like, you know, staring up at the stars or looking into the campfire, and just asking yourself, like, what does this mean to you, you know, in the Gospel? And so I think through that, I was able to establish more of a stronger relationship with God.
The gift of silence. When you go to camp, like Marianne said, you have those moments of they'll read a gospel passage and then they'll send you off to out in the woods somewhere. You go and find a quiet spot, and just that silence and that reflection. And I think that having that space, having that time helps us to hear God's whispers. And I think once any person is able to do that, then that is where they can find true joy.
There's a quote that Sister Ida has that says, the more you become closer to God, the more you become yourself. And I think that's really embodied in the sisters, and just how you can see how close they are to God because they're just 100% fully themselves.
I remember in one of my religion classes, we were talking about the virtues, and I think my teacher said that the definition of joy is the emotional response in possessing a good. And so I think, like, with all the good and all the blessings the sisters have given us, joy is that emotional response of possessing that,
Yeah.
having that in our hearts.
Maybe just like they've helped us to see all the goodness that is in our life. Because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you're just like wanting to focus on like all the bad. But it seems like they've really taught us to just like be thankful for the good and to know the good and to love the good, who ultimately is Jesus. And so just joy means like, I guess, just being closer to Jesus and experience that happiness and all the good things he has to give you and has to offer you.
There's so many different aspects to our apostolate, and joy can be in any age, size, form. The different ages delight in God's presence and his love in different ways, and then they share it with others in different ways. So right now I live in Big Bear and working with teens, and there's so much hardship in their lives and so much stress and anxiety and things that they face with. And to see them shed all of that and be filled with joy, to have a weekend where they don't carry those burdens, where they can just be loved, is a very powerful experience. To experience it with families, they can be that for each other, and when they go home they can continue to share in that love of God to bring joy to their surroundings. So no matter who you're working with, we're sending them out to then be that joy for the world.
It's a joy for me to be able to see these parents suddenly be able to dialogue with their little 3-year-old or 4-year-old or teenager, college student, to see suddenly this openness come together and with honesty and trust. That is for me a joy to be able to witness to that. Joy for me is that smile that surprises you in the middle of the day, and being able to give that smile or even to receive that smile, and you can't help but smile back.
What does joy mean to me? Joy is waking up every morning and knowing I'm where I'm supposed to be and doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It's more than just in the moment. It's living a life that is of Christ, to live fully. And it takes us through the times that are hard, and it takes us to the times that are externally joyful. But the truest joy I found lasts through all of those things, ups and downs, because it's deep within our heart. To bring joy to families, to children, to teenagers, all of that is really at the heart of everything I know that I strive to do. It's just the living out of trying to show them that there's more to life than just some of the things that feel very mundane, that we're made for something so great that will last eternally, and that's what we're looking towards, that anything that they do in their day can be aimed at Christ, can be permeated by joy. They would know they are made for something so beautiful, and that they are beautiful, that they are made in the image and likeness of God.
I really believe the source of joy is knowing that I am loved, and knowing I am loved by God. And whenever I was with the sisters, I experienced this love that God had for me personally, and it transformed my life. And that's the first time I really could look back in my life and say, I was overwhelmed with joy for how much God loved me. And then experiencing it myself, I recognize I want to be able to be that for others. I want others to come to know that they are loved by God. Because yes, people will recognize us as joyful sisters, and that's an important part of who we are. But I think the joy that they receive isn't because it's just they're feeding off of our joy and they like our joy and they want to be around that. It's because it's become something they've experienced within themselves. They've experienced this love that God has beyond all of our imagining, and it's welling up from within them. We're just an avenue to help them to experience that joy.
Joy is friendship.
Joy is singing.
Joy is learning about Jesus.
Joy is speaking of the love of God.
Joy is Sacred Heart Retreat Center.